Welcome to the VB Mapp Barriers Assessment. After you've completed the milestones assessment, you know what the student can do. It is equally as important to know what the student cannot do and why. Programming for students should include both behaviors that need to be increased, such as demanding, making requests, and behaviors that need to be decreased, such as SIB, self injurious behavior. The elimination of a single barrier can be sometimes improve multiple skill areas. Instructions on completing the barriers assessment can be found on page 99 of the Verbal Mapp guidebook. The scoring form for the barriers assessment can be found on page 25 of the VB Mapp protocol book. You will need both of these books to complete the assessment. Let's take a look at the content and scoring criteria of the barriers assessment. This assessment is designed to identify 24 language, social, behavioral, and learning barriers that may be preventing learning and progress for our students. By identifying these barriers, teachers can develop specific interventions and strategies to help students succeed. Scores for individual barriers range from 0 to 4. A score of 0 means that the student does not present with this learning barrier. A score of 1 to 2 means that the barrier exists but it is not significant and a formal intervention plan may not be required. A score of 3 to 4 is a significant barrier and should be addressed as a part of students' intervention program. Unlike the milestones assessment, we want to score on this assessment to decrease over time. Some barriers to learning requires behavioral intervention, while others require an instructional intervention. Detailed intervention strategies for each barrier are included in the VB Mapp guidebook starting on page 102. Now, let's walk through the assessment together. This is the master scoring form for the barriers assessment. This is located in a tab on the master scoring form that you already downloaded for the milestones assessment. In this protocol book, you can find the hard copy of this form on page 25 with detailed description of each barrier and the criteria for scoring the barrier, a 0 through 4. Oftentimes, a barrier seems to fall between two scores. When in doubt, scores higher. It is better to plan for an intervention in case the barrier score increases than to score lower and not to target the barrier until it becomes a bigger issue. You will notice that each barrier has its own column and ranges from a score of 1 to 4, moving from the bottom to the top. Again, you will use this paint fill function to fill in the score The color you use should match the color you use for the milestone assessment, as these two assessments are done within the same assessment cycle. Let's look at the behavior problems which correlates to negative behaviors in your protocol book. For our first example, in this example, a student screams daily for a duration of at least 10 minutes. We would score this a 3, while screaming may rank higher. For some people, the barrier isn't dangerous, so we would not give it a 4. In this next example, when presented with novel work, the student covers their eyes for 3 seconds but then starts to work. This is a minor behavior with quick recovery. So we would score it a 1. You will continue to do this for each section using the protocol books criteria to determine the score. Once this is completed, we can move on to the transition assessment.